The cats nestle close to their kittens. The lambs have laid down with the sheep. You're cozy and warm in your bed, my dear. Please go the f*** to sleep.
I'm proud of you for clicking on this video because that means you're ready to get some sleep. Let's start with some science. Researchers have found this phenomenon called bedtime procrastination, which is when a person will refuse to go to bed at a reasonable time, even though they know that they should, or even if they're tired. One theory about why people do this is because they don't have enough time during the day to do what they want to do. They feel resentful that they have to work or they have to take care of something, and they want some me time in the evening. It's also really common for people with ADHD to resist going to bed because they're dreading what they have to do the next morning, and they feel like if they don't go to bed, then it won't come as fast. So how do we fix this? One way to try to get more sleep is by creating a solid nighttime routine. What a good nighttime routine does is it helps you wind down and prepare your body and your mind for rest. Because think about it. You cannot drive a car at 60 miles an hour and then expect yourself to park it accurately and precisely in a small little parallel parking space. Are you going to be able to park the car? No. You have to slow it down. Your body's the same way. If you try to go from 60 to 0, it's not going to work out in your favor, and it's causing more problems and friction. In this video, I'm going to give you a framework for how you can start creating your nighttime routine and a huge tip on what to do if you feel like you've tried this a million times and you cannot stick with it. And I think this will be really good for people with ADHD, neurodivergence, or anything like to do with that sort of executive functioning. So let's get into it. So I bet you already have some sort of evening routine. It just doesn't feel like it's very structured, and you've probably watched a dozen videos, you've seen people talk about their routines online, and you're like, my night doesn't look anything like that. But human beings really like patterns and doing the same things over and over again. Our brains are sort of wired that way. And without having some sort of routine, you will be on blank Word doc mode most of the time because it's just too much cognitive energy. So you are doing certain things at night, even if you're not recognizing it. So maybe your evening routine currently consists of you putting on your pajamas, brushing your teeth, getting into bed, and watching your favorite show until you fall asleep. Maybe you throw a shower in there and wash your face. And I want to tell you, that is an evening routine. You're doing a bunch of things over and over again every night. That's an evening routine. And just because it doesn't match the aesthetic candles and the bubble baths that you see on Instagram doesn't make it any less of a fixed program that you're running. But it's clearly not doing it for you, which is why you clicked on this video. And you may be thinking,
Charlotte, I've tried making a nighttime routine before and I just never stick with it after a few days.
I hear you. And that is where this one trick comes in. You ready for it? You need multiple routines. In my experience, one of the biggest reasons people fail to follow through on new habits is fatigue. They think that because they didn't do something perfectly or they skipped a day so they broke their streak that they might as well just give up entirely. And then they revert back to old programming. But there is a simple way that you can course correct for that impulse. And here's the trick. Make 3 different routines. So the first one we're going to call the ideal night routine. And this one is for the days that you are highly motivated to carry through on all of the rituals that you laid out for yourself. So the next one would be the bare minimum routine. This one is for the days where you feel entirely depleted and you just can't bring yourself to take care of your body in the way that you would like to. So what do you need to get done that evening, the bare minimum, in order for you to wake up feeling like at least okay? Like it will make your mornings better because you got more rest or because you prepared more for the day ahead. The next one would be the mid-level or the average routine. I'm going to go back and forth between saying those two things because I can't decide which one I like better. But essentially, this is the ideal routine pared down slightly for the days where you're experiencing some amount of friction in doing what you laid out, like your plan. Editing Charlotte here. Yeah, so something has gone awry. I started getting fed a lot of content on YouTube about morning and night routines after I recorded this video because our phones are listening to us. I came across one by Haley Honeyman called Routines for ADHD that actually work, and I watched it. It's a very good video, and the thing is, it's like exactly the same as mine. We came up with the exact same idea. She just made a video about it first. I wanted to address that because I feel like if you watch my video, you might be fed her video, and I take plagiarism very seriously, even though this isn't plagiarism. I didn't know her video existed before I put mine out. But actually, I think it might be helpful to people to go watch hers because she focuses on morning routines in her examples. So if you want to see how this ideal average bare minimum routine works for a morning routine, I'd highly recommend it. I will try to link her video if YouTube lets me, because they're being weird about that now. Thank you. Continue with the video. Appreciate it. So now let's talk about what actually makes a good routine. So let's do some brainstorming together. Write these down somewhere. You can write them in the comments if you feel comfortable doing that. That'd be great. First, I want you to figure out what you need to do in your routine to make you feel fulfilled and like you're ready for bed. I want you to think about why you clicked on this video. What are you hoping I tell you in this video that will make you feel satisfied? Think about what you do right now before bed and get detailed about it. Really go down to the granular level. You brush your teeth. You put on pajamas, you wash your face, you scroll on your phone, you're on your computer. What are you doing? Next, after you've listed everything out, how does this current routine make you feel? Are you restless before bed, or does it help you wind down? Does it leave your mind racing? And I want you to ask yourself, why do you think that is how you feel? Okay, and now this is the most important question. What is it that you want this routine to do for you? How do you want to feel after this routine is completed? Do you want to feel sleepy? Do you want to feel ready for bed? Do you want to feel hygienic? Do you want to feel cozy? Like, what are the feelings that you hope to get out of this? If you struggle with sleep procrastination or bedtime procrastination, why do you think that is? What is keeping you awake? What feelings are you having? Are you working too late? Are you dreading the next day? What's going on? Are there any habits that you want to implement that you feel like will set you up for success the next day? So some that I can suggest for you might be prepping your lunch the night before to bring to work, or putting your bag together, or picking out your clothing for the next day. Or maybe it's planning a schedule, writing down a to-do list. What would help you feel less anxious when it comes to preparing for the next morning? If you struggle with insomnia, I recommend you talk to your doctor to see whether there is some underlying cause physically to that problem. Some examples might be sleep apnea. Maybe you're on a medication that could lead to insomnia. I put some links in the description that talk about insomnia, because if changing your behavior isn't helping you fall back asleep, like there's something that's going on and you may need to address it with a medical professional. So let's start with an example of an ideal routine. I'm going to walk you through my ideal evening routine, and I feel like mine is pretty realistic. I do it most nights because it just is comforting to me and I enjoy it. I literally look forward to it. And I'm going to explain each of the steps and why I've chosen to do those things. So let's get into it. One thing that I learned about myself is that light makes a really big deal in my space. So I invested in smart light bulbs, and this allows me to control the color temperature of the lights and also the dimness. Sunday through Thursday, I have the lights automated that it will turn down to a cozy setting an hour before my bedtime. And that sort of kicks off the whole routine.
It's 8 p.m. It's time to start winding down for bed.
And I don't have to think about it. I don't have to pay attention to the clock. This is a built-in clock in my apartment, essentially. And just to go off on a side note here, there's actually scientific evidence to suggest that there is something to this idea of triggering your mind at a certain hour. Researchers refer to this idea as a temporal landmark, and essentially it's sort of a fresh start effect. So think about New Year's resolutions. People feel like because a new calendar year has started, they are going to make a bigger change. It's why you may say, you know, I'll start working out on Monday, or I'll start the diet on Monday, because you feel like a new week it changes a lot in your brain. Now, this can also work at certain times of the day. If you decide that 8 p.m. is a temporal landmark, then it is. And for me, that time is demarcated by my lights changing. So it works for my brain. Usually when the lights dim, I am on the computer because I'm always on the computer. And so I will shut down the computer. I will make sure my bag is packed for work if I'm going into the office the next day, and I'll leave it at my desk. Then I will move on to docking my phone. I like to shut down my devices around an hour before bed, and I put them in a charging station that I've made across the room from my bed so that I'm not tempted to use them in bed. And this will not only give me a reprieve from the sensory light from my phone, but also if I bring my phone or my iPad or my computer anywhere near my bed, I will use it. And that is a problem because I won't be able to stop because the internet is interesting. Before I dock my phone, I will brain dump into my notes app anything that I feel like I want to remember the next day. And that helps clear my mind a little bit so I'm not ruminating over things that I don't want to forget. I make sure to put my Apple Watch on the charger while I'm getting ready for bed. That way it gets about an hour of charge in because I do like to wear my Apple Watch to bed in order to track my sleep. I also have a literal checklist of everything that I want to do in my routine on a piece of paper that I hang up on my wall. And the reason I have it on the paper is so I have no excuse to use my phone. Once the devices are stowed away, I will use the paper checklist and start going down and ticking things off. off. This list is very specific and broken down into the smallest increments I could, because if I just wrote get ready for bed, I'm like, my brain just doesn't know what that means. I need to write brush teeth, floss, mouthwash, wash face, shower, lotion, like put on your pajamas. Break it down as much as you can. That is my suggestion to you. Especially if you're struggling with some sort of executive dysfunction, this will really help you. If you're struggling with breaking things down, there's actually a website called goblin.tools that will do this with AI if you type in what you're trying to do, and it's pretty cool. It works pretty well. So to recap, I've docked my phone. I know I just gave you examples of like getting ready for bed, but it's actually not what I do next after I dock my phone. Before I start getting ready for bed, before I start like getting all clean and stuff, I will do like a quick tidy of my apartment just so I don't wake up with it being a mess. The goal of tidying up is to make sure things are clean so there's no bugs, and to just make the visual clutter a little less overwhelming and to put things back in their proper place. So I will pick up any loose things and put them back where they should be. I'll take any straggling clothes and either put them in the hamper or back in the closet. I will put my shoes away, any little thing I need to do. And if it's before 9 p.m., I may vacuum, but I try not to vacuum after 9 p.m. I do live in an apartment building. I also prioritize doing my dishes because it's annoying to have a full sink in the morning, and I also get roaches in this apartment. They're not welcome here. Anything that you can do for yourself in the evening that will make your morning easier is so worth it. I'll also take out the recycling or the garbage if it's full. That's really easy. The garbage chute is literally right there. And then next I will start the hygiene routine: brush teeth, floss, mouthwash, all of the things I do to keep my teeth somewhat yellow. I work so hard on these teeth, and because I'm practically translucent, they will always look a little yellow. There's nothing I can do about it. Unless I want to like bleach the crap out of them, and I don't. After my teeth, I will wash my face and I will moisturize. I may shower, that whole routine. I have a weird shower schedule. It depends on the day and if I work out, and I will shower in either the morning or the evening. It's just what works for me. Once I'm all clean and in my pajamas, I will get into bed about 30 to 45 minutes before I actually want to fall asleep. So once I'm in bed, I will tell either of these two girlies, because I have both, it's a very long story, to set an alarm for my actual bedtime, and that way I don't have to constantly check the clock while I'm doing other things, whether it's reading or journaling or whatever. I'll get into that in a second. So just like the lights dimming, it becomes this sort of mental cue that it's time for bed. The other thing I associate with going to bed is moving my over the bed table to the end of the bed, because in the morning I move it to the middle of the bed. That signals to me it's time to stay awake. You don't get to go back into the bed. And in the evening I push it to the end of the bed. It just clicks in my brain. And I recommend you find things like that in your life that can signal to you like it's time to go to bed. I know one woman who told me that she wears contacts every day, and when she puts her glasses on, she gets sleepy because her glasses are a sign that it's time for bed because she's taking her contacts out for the evening. It's something like that. Like, it's just a product of association. So on that over the bed table, I keep my Kindle and I keep a journal. So I can choose to read, I can choose to write. These are some of the few activities that you can do without a phone or a screen nowadays. I don't know about the Kindle. They say that it's not supposed to stimulate you. Like, the backlight should be fine. It seems sus, but I'm going to choose to let it slide because I do not have room for books in my apartment. I just don't. I need the Kindle. Once one of my robot besties tells me it's time to go to sleep, I have this Bluetooth sleep mask that I play music on, and I usually do it on my Apple Watch and connect music to it, and I usually listen to sleep sounds if it's really loud outside. I try not to do that because I know that you're supposed to give your brain a break from stimulation, and I think sleeping with sounds can stimulate you in some ways, but it's loud where I live. And there's usually men at 11 p.m. yelling at each other across the street. It's pretty regular occurrence. And I turn off the lights right from bed. I don't need to get up. That was also incredibly important to me. I am not getting out of bed to turn off the lights. I refuse. And that's pretty much it. Personally, I think this is a pretty reasonable routine. It takes me about an hour. It's just a nice way to ease into bed. And it's not crazy. I'm not doing anything wild. So now I went through my ideal routine. Let me give you an example of what the bare minimum routine looks like. So the lights still do their thing. That's automated. I don't have to do anything. And that to me is a cue, like, okay, it's time to go to bed. I may give myself a little bit more time to finish what I was doing. Like, I may start If I go to bed at 10, I may start at 9:15 to get ready for bed instead of 9. I will dock my phone. I also make a point to dock my watch for at least a few minutes because it will die. And then the only cleaning up I'll do in the kitchen is I wipe down the sink and I make sure there's no food on the dishes in the sink. I wipe down the sink so there's no water. That's what the roaches like, is the water. I've learned. And then as far as cleaning the kitchen goes, if the garbage is overflowing, I will throw it away because I don't want bugs. Again, I don't want bugs. No bugs. If it's not overflowing, if the lid closes still, like I'm gonna leave it and the recycling can chill, like whatever. And then when it comes to tidying the apartment, instead of putting all the clutter away, I will just make a path for myself to go from the bed to the kitchen or the bed to the bathroom. So I'm not tripping over anything in the dark. I won't put things away. As far as paring down my bathroom routine, my hygiene routine, I will maybe not wash my face. I may remove makeup with some micellar water, and I will only brush my teeth and floss. I won't do like all the other extra stuff. I may not even floss. It depends on the day. Shh, don't tell my dentist. So then there's pajamas, and I get into bed and I journal, or maybe I dissociate or whatever I feel like doing that day. Like I will just stare at the ceiling. I might allow myself to listen to a podcast using my watch again. I just try not to look at screens, you know? It's not even the light. It's just when you're doing something on your phone or on your computer, you're stimulating yourself. You're reading, you're watching something, you're feeling an emotion, you're trying to understand a concept, and that's just not helping you wind down, you know? So even if the light isn't stimulating me, it's more just the fact that I'm absorbing content. And the podcast is a little better because you can't really look at anything while you're doing it. Like you're just forced to listen. Instead, like using your eyes versus your ears is like a different part of your brain, right? So I don't know. It's different for me. I don't know if there's any science behind this. That's how I feel. So now let's talk about the mid-tier routine. So here is how I split the difference between the ideal routine and the bare minimum routine. Essentially, I just do the bare minimum routine and then whatever I feel like adding that day from my ideal routine. I'm not picky about it. Usually what ends up happening is I will, instead of just leaving stuff on the floor, I have these crates that I keep under my bed that I will pull out and I'll throw everything in the crate. So it's not cluttered, it's just corralled. And then I will put them away when I have the energy to put it away, or in the morning or whatever, when I'm motivated to put it away. So that's different from the bare minimum routine. Usually I will wash my face instead of just using the micellar water. I may not do the dishes, but I will put away any dishes that are drying on the counter. I will make a point to do that just to get rid of the clutter in the kitchen, and that does help me in the morning. So let me give you a quick recap of everything that I'm doing. I've built into my routine these cues that will trigger this fresh start, this is what we're doing now effect in my brain. And that includes the dimming of the lights and moving my bed table to the end of the bed. My brain just knows that is when it's time to go to sleep. Next, I make sure that my space is as functional and tidy as I can make it so it's easier for me in the morning. My routine also helps me lessen the pull of my phone by increasing the friction it takes for me to use it by putting it on the other side of the room. My routine also encourages self-reflection through journaling, or it helps me improve my education through reading, or entertain me through reading if I'm reading fiction, and what you can add to make your morning better and to make yourself feel more ready for bed in the evening. And you may also have goals, like if you want to read more, you can read in bed. If you want to journal, you can journal in bed. If you want to practice the guitar more or the piano, you can do that before you go to sleep. Make it part of your nighttime routine because that doesn't involve a screen. And ultimately, it just provides me structure with closing out my day. And what I want you to do is figure out what you like about what you already do in your evening. Just get creative with it. All right, I'm going to call the video there. Thank you so much for watching and getting to this point. I really appreciate you. I would really appreciate if you liked and subscribed and commented because it really helps me out. And I want to know you exist because that would be nice. And if you still need more proof about whether I'm worth subscribing to, you can check out this video about what causes burnout and how we can fix it. And hopefully building your evening routine was fun and exploratory and you feel more fulfilled and you will be able to
go to sleep.
Bye.